There's nothing like a New York winter air to remind you that life doesn't care about your plans, especially when your plans involve you're just playing squash and accidentally smack yourself with a racket. But for the first time ever, New York City's 70-degree Fahrenheit winter cold felt like a blessing. The cold wind whooshed against my swollen kneecap, numbing the pain like a frosty kiss. So it was not like a cold sting, it's more like a cold plunge spot. And what happened to my knee? Let me set a scene. 1 minute I was warming up for a squash game feeling invincible. I was like falling on the floor with a swollen knee that looked like it had its own weather system. It turns out the rackets don't discriminate. They will hurt you if you're in their way, even if you're the one swinging them. And after hitting myself by accident, of course, being the overachiever as I am, I didn't let this shooting pain stop me. I powered through 4 games with my friend Leah, convincing myself that limping around the court was a strategy. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. And by saying overachieving, it's by far not a flattering word at all. It's misinterpreted and might be harmful in many ways. So overachieving is like that one friend always says, I would just have 1 sip of your drink and then gulps down half of the glass. Doesn't know when to stop. And while striving for greatness sounds noble, overachieving can be quietly transformed into a relentless monster that eats away your health, relationship, or sanity while whispering to your ear at the same time. Just one more thing and you will finally be enough. Alright, let's cut to later that night. The reality hit and that was pain. The pain came knocking and every step feels like my knee was auditioning for a role in Greek tragedy. Walking, I feel weird. Lunges, a brilliant exercise in a terrible decision making. And let's not even talk about the cancelled training session and sport testings for the week. Was I bummed? Yes, of course. But even though my brain quickly diagnosed me with anxiety and denial phase, this psychological black hole every athlete tumbles into post-injury. What I realized was after the denial mode, it came along with the classic why me spiral. I lay there on the couch, dramatically clutching my knee like it was a Shakespeare prop. How could this happen to me? What did I do to deserve this? My inner monologue was in a full victim mode. I've been so good to you, knees. I've been eating so well, such a clean diet. I've trained you, I stretched you, I nourished you. And this was how you repay me? So cue the soundtrack in my head as I gazed out of the window, letting all the sheer unfairness of all wash over me. I might have even whispered, this is the end of my squash career, just for dramatic effect. So I was in this grieving and victim mode and soaked myself in self-pity. So instead of camping out in the land of grief, I switched gears. So I realized when I stay at home, it does no good to me. So I actually did some light activities. Went to my nail salon, get my nails done, painted dark since that's kind of like how I feel deep down, which by the way, was necessary after flipping like one of my nails completely backwards during a squash game 2 days ago. I know, man, what a week. And next, I dove into the injury adaptation research because clearly my coping mechanism is overreacting. I can hear my amygdala say, help me, your squash career is going to be end. So I started to follow podcasts and talks from like Joko Winlink, the man who can always like out discipline, Alex Smith, the NFL like comeback king and very famous quarterback, and a lineup of the contents from a sports psychologist and just sports doctors. They've become my new consumptions. And here's the kicker. Why injury feels so bad, not just physically, is because injuries mess with your identity. When you see yourself as an athlete, you feel like your physical is something invincible, and suddenly you're sidelined. It's like an existential slap in the face. Why am I even an athlete if I cannot play? And the mental hurdle is harder to clear than the physical recovery. And research shows that the identity crisis can hit hard. So psychologists call it athletic identity foreclosure. Your self-worth get tangled in the ability to perform, and injuries cut that cord. But here's the thing, every setback teaches you resilience. It's not about if you will come back, it's about how. So I read and listened to some of the wisdom that hit me in a different angle and make me feel so much better. So Joko Winlink says, If you're injuring one part of your body, you should still move your body into maintain a range of motions and start to eat clean to circulate the nutrients in your entire body. And the translation is, don't turn into a couch potato if you hurt yourself. Let's say in squash, if your leg won't bend, you can practice swings and volleys at home. No leg movement required. And the famous quarterback Alex Smith said, these scars, those injuries, aren't just reminders of what I've been through, but everything that's ahead. The scars and the wound challenge me to be myself. And if you look at the scars, own them. They're proof that there's a whole lot living left to do. And what also has stuck with me is one of Alex's teammate, Blake. He said, play as hard as you can, as fast as you can, as long as you can, and don't worry. So I'm still kind of crippled. I did like an easier training session earlier today for preparation for my tournament. But I can tell you this, here I am, bruised, not beaten, challenging the wisdom of athletes who have been there, done that, and come back stronger. And injuries, they're literally just plot twists in the story of becoming an athlete. It is inevitable. And hey, if I can't sprint today, I can still nail my volleys. Life isn't about being perfect because nobody is perfect, including you and me. Life is about showing up, scars and all.